cake, lemonade cocktails, and more, all to benefit Alex's Lemonade Stand Foundation, one cup at a time. See you there.
Wondering what a personal message with your credit card number has in common with way too many pictures of your dog? Well, they're both private. Because on WhatsApp, your personal messages are yours. No one else can see or hear them, not even us. WhatsApp, message privately with everyone.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
Number one on your car radio preset and the new and improved iHeartRadio app. WDAS and WD273D Philadelphia is Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler.
Swing and a fly ball deep right field. Barger working back at the warning track. Turns at the wall. It's gone. Into the bullpen for a 2-run homer. And the Phillies get it started early. Trey Turner puts them on top 2-0. No outs in the first. Not played since that first inning on the 27th. Now he drives the 0-2 deep to right field. Barger at the wall. It's gone again. Solo homer for Harper in his first at-bat back. And the Phillies go back-to-back to make it 3-0 in the first.
And the 3-2 pitch. Swung on and hit well down the left field line. Schneider giving chase. He's looking up, and that ball is gone. Another home run for Trey Turner, his second of the day, his seventh of the year, and he gets that run back for the Phils. It's 8-1. The 1-0 pitch. Swung on, line drive, left field. Not deep. In comes Kepler, and he makes the catch for the final out. Nice job by Carlos Hernandez here in the ninth. And 1, 2, 3 go the Blue Jays, and the Phillies hold on to win this one 8-3.
Oh, how about that? Back to their winning ways. A beautiful night north of the border in Toronto as the Fightins jumped on them early. 8-3, your final score. Of course, you just heard the sounds from the Blue Jays radio network and Greg Murphy filling in for Scott Fransky, who was on the television call, Philadelphia Phillies radio network. Joining me from the jump as we are steering this train back to the World Series. Phillies putting an end to the 4-game skid. Kyle Fisher 45 on all things socials, and it's great to have Kyle in his midweek spot here. Always love to kick a few things his way. You can find him and read all of his content over at Philly Sports Network. We are going to talk some NFL today, damn it. All right. I got the juices going. Did you hear? Kyle heard before us, who wasn't Coward, it was Jason McIntyre, but they were talking about divisions. The guy, Adam Chernoff, who I believe Chernoff. Yeah, that's his name. He's a big sports handicapper. He was talking about how he's got the Eagles on the under win total. I love it. Give it to me, baby.
Some early off-season juice, Sean. Let's get it going, man.
Oh, man. Great to have you. How we doing today, Kyle? Hottest day of the year so far, my friend.
Yes, I was not prepared for that. My office is extremely warm. So I'll try and keep the stains out of the window here for you so we don't distract the viewers. But other than that, man, great day so far. Just excited to hop on with you and talk some ball.
All right. Well, of course, any Major League Baseball discussion always starts and ends with the time of the year, right? And it's June 4th to June 3rd last night. I would like to ask you this because we always, and you're a guy that's on the sidelines, you're a guy that's in the locker rooms, you're a guy that's all over the place when it comes to the NFL, down at the ball yard at Citizens Bank Park, inside the locker rooms there. So you could speak a little bit about this from the experience and being around these teams and these guys weekly, daily, whatever it is. I just, isn't it funny, like when you lose a guy like Bryce Harper, and it's obvious how important he is on the field. But when he steps back out there and he misses a few games and just what he brings to the team as far as leadership, and there's something else that hit me last night. It's just you can't see it. You can't touch it. You could talk about it, which we're going to do here. It's just a calming force just around the whole team that the captain is back. Bryce Harper is back in this lineup. And of course he goes yard. Again, we can measure that. We could talk about the X's or the box score at the end of the day and say, yeah, he hit a home run in his first at bat back. You just heard it. But there's just something else about having him back in the lineup. And yeah, they lost 4 straight. 3 of them were four of them.
Yeah.
4 of them, all of them without him. So it just goes to show you how important Bryce Harper really is to this whole damn deal, both on and off the field.
Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said about being a superstar, right? You bring in a guy like Bryce Harper at the start of what is now this playoff run for the Phillies to be a difference maker, both to help recruit other stars because they know the impact that this guy has, to be that guy who steps up in the biggest moments and loves the spotlight. When he's in the lineup, even when he's not performing his best, go back to when he just got back from Tommy John surgery and was playing DH and didn't have a power surge just yet. His presence in the lineup means so much, right? What do we call what are the younger kids calling it? He has aura. When his name's in the lineup, you know that something special could happen at any moment. And not only do you as his teammate know that, and his manager know that, but the other team has to be aware of that too. Even if he didn't hit the home run last night, right? He still was someone who was considered a threat. They had to pitch around him. He ended up drawing 2 walks. Of course, it feels great to get that home run right out of the way. And Thompson threw almost like a proud grin after the game yesterday, said, nothing really surprises me about this guy anymore. He hasn't faced live pitching in a week, and of course he comes out and it's a home run. What else is going to happen? So there is something to be said about having that presence of a true bona fide superstar and what he can bring as far as juice to your team.
Yeah, and Harper goes jar. We discussed that a ton yesterday on the show. Great day had by the Gambler Gang. We went downtown, hung out with the folks at the F1 arcade that just opened up.
How was that?
It was incredible. Are you an F1 guy? Are you a racing guy?
Not really, but I wanted to check that place out for sure.
It's definitely interesting. I'll talk a little bit more about that coming up a little bit later with you because I have a question about it. And
okay.
It was fantastic. Well worth your stop. We'll discuss a little bit at further length a little bit later. All right, back to the game. Of course, the Phillies found a way to win a game. Losers are 4 straight. We're back on, man. World Series is back on. It's funny how it works, but again, putting that to the side doesn't matter. We did hit on the money line. Sanchez under on the strikeouts, which was surprising. When you look at the box score, 6 innings pitched, gave up the home run, had the 1 earned, only 4 hits in, as I said, 6 innings pitched there, but only 4 strikeouts, which he's pretty much averaging like 5.5, whatever it may be. We took the over on 5.5. So yeah, that was a loser. Actually 5. We took the over on 4.5 to get the 5. So that was a loser there. So a little surprising, but Ross got in there. Bullpen got some work, and it's always fun when you could score 6 in the first inning, Kyle.
For sure, yeah. I mean, jumping all over them, that felt necessary after the weekend that they had, right? Obviously, it wasn't, despite going on a 3-game skid to end the month and then the one, obviously, on June 1st. They finished 19-9 in the month of May. So it doesn't matter how it ended. If you look at the totality of the month, they had an incredible month. But even Bryce himself felt like he needed to get back in there, whether he was 100% ready or not. He said after the game, they're still swelling. I think it's going to take a minute to go back down. But today was a good day for me to get back out there and get back in the lineup. So they felt some pressure themselves. It's not how we wanted to end the month, not how we wanted to end the homestand. Coming out and putting 6 on a team that's been red hot themselves is a good way to show that you guys are taking this serious and taking it to heart. So it was a nice inning from the team. And I like that there was a combination of both the long ball and some small ball. So after you have those 2 home runs, the rest of the Schwarber strikes out after the back-to-back homers. And then you have single, hit by pitch, single, 2 strikeouts, a fly out, strikeout, single, fly out to get the rest of your runs. So you score 3 runs, small ball, you score 3 runs with the long ball. You show that you can do it all. Stott got on base twice. There's been some questions about whether he truly should be the leadoff hitter. His numbers have been underwhelming in that spot so far, but he gets on base twice in the first inning. Could they tinker? Sure, but it's really nice to come out first game on a road trip, a homecoming for your manager, if you will, lives about an hour away from Toronto in the off season. So a nice little trip up there nice start to the trip up there north of the border.
That's right. Game 2 coming up this evening. We'll talk a little bit more in depth about that one, especially focus on the young gun, Mick Abel, getting the second professional start this season. Of course, was dominant in that game against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Round 2 tonight against the Blue Jays. We'll talk a little bit more about the expectation and what does it mean moving forward here. Staying, though, I like where you went. Trey Turner, he knows a thing or two about batting leadoff. I am a Stott leadoff type of guy. Again, every conversation we have about baseball, when your team is winning, starts and ends with the date. It's June 4th. I get it. Mets are awesome. They're playing great ball. Did lose last night. Got that call. Love that. But they are a damn good team. We talked a little bit about the division a little bit more yesterday and whether or not we are talking as far as the right way when it comes to the Mets. I feel like there's a lot of people that are like, all right, eventually it's going to catch up to them. I'm not that guy anymore. I think that this team is as good as advertised, and they're going to be in the thick of it for the long haul this season. Now, you have time to tinker, like you brought up. I am a stock guy at the leadoff position. Am I locked to it? No. Of course, we know the history with Kyle Schwarber. Do we not have enough now where we can sit here and say, all right, Schwarber, he's no longer in the conversation for leadoff. We like where he's at. He's proven his worth. He's batting cleanup. He's hitting bombs. I know he did it at the leadoff position. Yeah. And I'm not trying to get back into that conversation because that seems to be the topic of discussion for 3 straight years now. But Kyle Schwarber, I prefer him batting in the cleanup position. I like Stott at my leadoff, but I'm not married to it. You got a guy like Trey Turner who found his stroke last night, 2 home runs. It was great to have Trey get some pop back in his bat. What are we discussing as far as right now when it comes to the leadoff spot in the lineup for the Phillies? Are you trying to make some moves here? Are you not married to the idea of Schwarber, removing him from cleanup? Are you okay putting him back at leadoff? What's your stance on that?
I leave Schwarber where he is. I think they did that for a reason. I don't want to move him back and forth too much because it's a different mindset. Batting leadoff versus batting behind your some of your other big boppers, right? Some of your guys that you need to drive these runs in as opposed to setting the table for them. Turner proved he can do it. He's also proved that he can hit well in the 2-hole. It depends on what Stott does. If he continues to improve and his numbers get a little bit better, he keeps seeing a lot of pitches, exposing starting pitchers early. That's valuable, whether you're ending with a result or not, whether you're hitting for a high batting average or high on base percentage or not. There is value to drawing out a lot of pitches, and he's been able to do that. If the on base continues to creep up, then you leave him there when they're facing a right-handed starter. The biggest time a change would happen is if a right-handed bat suddenly starts hitting like a true middle-of-the-order hitter, whether that's Castellanos turning some of these singles into doubles and line drives, whether it's Alec Boehm regaining some of the magic that he had with runners in scoring position over the last 2 seasons. By the way, don't look now. He was hitting 220 at the end of April. He's now up to 277, so been very consistent. Don't mess with it just yet, but something to keep an eye on. But if he regains that magic, can they move him into the middle of the order, and that would force a change? Or obviously, as it gets closer to the end of July, if they make a deal for a middle of the order bat, that's the only time I could see them really making a drastic change. Depends on where they want everybody, but I think you're going to have Turner either hitting first or second, and then the rest will depend on how everybody else performs.
Yeah, not so much surprising because we watch these games and Boehm has found his stroke and he's looking really good out there and getting the swagger and the confidence back, and they continue to win games. All in all, that's all that matters. Like, I don't care. You get a base hit, you're 1 for 4 in the game, they win, cool. You go 0 for 4 in the game, sure, yeah, that's going to stick in the back of your mind. Did you win? Cool, on to the next. And I get it when they get up there in the box and you see the crawl underneath or the graphic that pops up and you see 162 like we saw for Marsh for it felt like a month there. It's not pleasant. And you start to get that in the back of your mind like, oh, man, this is a liability. I didn't look at Boehm ever in that manner, but it is eye-opening to see what he's been able to do, specifically in this last month, and get it going again. And the Phillies need him. He is really important. I love the glove, but, man, when his bat is there, you feel so much more better about this lineup, the pop, the sizzle that they have. And I'm not talking about home runs. I think you hit it earlier where you said it was great to see them get a little bit of the small ball. Of course, the home runs, chicks dig the long ball. We all dig the long ball, but we need the clutch hits. You need the doubles. You need the opposite field hits to move the runners over. And I like what Boehm's game is all about. So it's great to have him finding his stride right now as well.
For sure, yeah. 4-hit night last night. 3 of them were hard line drives to the opposite field. So just as you mentioned, that's when you can tell that he's really locked in when he's staying behind that fastball. and then can get ahead of those off-speed pitches and pull them when he needs to. Only his 8th 4-hit game of his career. Like we said, average up to 277. He even had a great diving play, took advantage of the AstroTurf out there, like a 3 or 4 hopper over to Harper to get the George Springer at first base. So big day from him. Obviously, we know that the glove, there will be questions, but to see the work that he's put in and how he's improved and still be able to stay focused on the offensive end is huge. The big thing for guys, whether it's Bohm or others, is these early season numbers swing so heavily, right? If you had the month that he had in April in August, your numbers don't fluctuate as much, right? You might have a 220 month, but your average only drops by 15 points because you have so much positivity before that month. Well, when it's April, your numbers look like they're terrible. Same with Brandon Marsh. Your numbers look like oh man, is this guy ever going to figure it out? And then you turn around come July 1st and he's hitting 260, which is what you would expect. Boom, 270, may even push 300 at some point if this hot streak continues.
All right, let's go ahead and hit the fast forward button, bring it up to present time right here. Phillies, Game 2, Blue Jays, north of the border in Toronto. A really intriguing start by Mick Abel. First-round draft pick from the Phillies 2020 season. Here we are, of course, had the one start against the Pirates. Looked really, really good. Has been battling down in the minors since then. He struck out 9 batters in that game over 6 innings back on May the 18th. Really good write-up by Joe Tanzi at Crossing Broad on how to wager on tonight's game. I'll give you his plays as well. But I want to go big picture with Mick Abel and his start here. First of all, your expectations tonight going up against Berrios, pretty much even money on DraftKings Sportsbook. Right now, I believe the Phillies were just a slight favorite, tick minus 115 versus the minus 105 for Berrios. Berrios, pretty good pitcher in his own right. Putting that to the side, putting the game to the side, just Mick Abel, because I bring it up, Kyle, and I want to know where you're at. This is some are saying the greatest rotation in baseball. An embarrassment of riches with Painter. I see Painter's name being tossed around in trade conversations. That's understood how good he is. Went through the Tommy John, still just popping the mitt. He's not going anywhere except for the majors to pitch for the Phillies. But when you talk about Abel tonight, and I get it, Aaron Nola signed a monster contract. They're going to give him every opportunity to be Aaron Nola, and I think he will be Aaron Nola when he comes back. However, what are we talking about with Abel? Is there something that this kid can do if he goes out there and duplicates that performance like he did against the Pirates back on May the 18th, where he was dominant for 6, struck out 9? And he does that tonight against this tough Toronto Blue Jays lineup that albeit strikes out a ton, but still the AL East, we know what brings to the table there, and continues to show you that this dude is a major league pitcher and needs to be in a rotation, bar none. What are we talking about now? Is there a good problem to have in your mind, as they say?
100%. I mean, just look at, I think we talked about this last week too, but just look at the Dodgers. The Dodgers have spent so much money on pitching. And as far as injured pitchers are concerned, the contract value of their injured pitchers is more than the entire payroll of 6 different franchises this season. You can never have enough pitching. I've heard multiple people say, multiple national reporters, whether it's Fox or MLB Network, explain that every time you feel like you have pitching depth, you turn around and it's gone. The Mariners have been the talk of the town for years. They could trade one of these major league ready starting pitchers to add some offense to that team. Offense seems to be their struggle, has been in Seattle for a long time, and they have never done it. Their general manager was on, I forget with who, it was on with Jason Stark on Starkville, and mentioned the whole reason we don't is because every time you get comfortable with your pitching, something happens. The way that guys throw today, how hard they throw, how different pitches are thrown and developed throughout the season, you can never be too comfortable. So the development of Mick Abel does 2 things for me, right? One, it gives you the necessary depth that you'll need to survive the season. He has rehabbed his value as a prospect, which could lead to a big trade if they feel necessary at the deadline.
Dig that.
They also like him a lot, and keeping him would give you insurance if Ranger Suarez walks at the end of the season, which a lot of people think that he will, right? But you have Zach Wheeler getting a little bit older. Aaron Nola, obviously, we'll see what happens, but he's under contract for a long time. They wrapped up Christopher Sanchez, but you need that depth. You don't know what you're going to get from Andrew Painter. Maybe he comes out is so jacked up, throws 103 and hurts his elbow again, and they shut him down. Right? Like, who knows? Obviously, I don't want to put that on anybody, but keep the depth as long as you have, because it's impossible to predict pitching injuries. If the time comes in the postseason where you need to make a decision and you send him back down, or you move him or Sanchez or somebody else to the bullpen to be a bulk guy because everybody has a shorter lease come the postseason, at least you know what you have with him now. You give him these opportunities, prove to him and to your club that he can do it at the big league level, and see how long he sticks around. And if you get blown away or can include him in a deal to avoid including someone like Miller or Crawford, then it's just an added benefit in a different direction.
Oh, yeah. See, I look at tonight, and my expectations are one thing versus the long haul here. And we all know about the rotation for the Titans, but if you do need a little bit of a reminder, you got Wheeler, you got Jesus Luzardo, you got Christopher Sanchez, you got Ranger Suarez. Walker goes to the bullpen. Nola, of course, is on the IL, be back pretty soon here. And then you have Mick Abel, who's getting the start right now. And then, of course, Painter will be up sometime around the All-Star break, I would assume. Pretty good names there. And as we said, good problem to have. And I know our focus might be on Nola here, and I get why, but it's not to say that Mick Abel can't pitch his ass off and take one of the other spots from a guy, right? Like it give me the best pitchers. And I know we're talking about something now on June 4th. That will be a whole different discussion come September, but can Mick Abel do enough in your mind that could potentially be one of those guys that will be getting some big time starts come September, maybe October? We know what happens with playoff rotations, understood. But again, just the brightest possible scenario for you in this rotation moving forward for Mick Abel, if he continues to show what he did. And albeit, I know I referenced May 18th, granted it was the only major league start for him this year, but we're talking about a guy that's been pitching pretty damn well in the Lehigh Valley. He's got at least 6 innings and 6 outings this season between both levels. So here we are. Like, what are we talking about as far as the ceiling, I guess, for Mick Abel and the future of this rotation?
Well, real quick, I mean, like you mentioned, he's pitching great at Lehigh Valley. Our guy over at Philly Sports Network, Corey Nido, he does great coverage of the minor leagues. He did a little write-up on how he has earned this spot right before they announced he would get called up. In the month of May, if you include that performance against the Pirates, he's 4-0 with a 0.96 ERA across the minors in that one start in the majors. So if he pitches like that at the major league level, you have to figure out something, right? You have to figure out a conversation. If he earns his way into the rotation and makes it undeniable, they're going to have to figure something out, whether that's I'll be damned, Suarez, Ranger, we know who your agent is, but we need you to change things up. Luzardo, hey, let's give you a little bit of a rest after we made you wear one last week. You know, who knows what could happen. I think best case scenario is kind of what I described, though. My assumption is that we'll see him be likely kept unless they get blown away and someone surprising shows up on the trade market. He'll probably be kept for depth. You'll see him make a few more appearances this season, and then he'll likely be fighting for a spot come next year in the rotation. We'll have to see what happens with Andrew Painter, but maybe to give guys a rest a little bit earlier, they could start doing what they intend to do with Andrew Painter now with Mick Abel, where you might skip a guy once here or there to give them some extra rest. A lot of these pitchers have thrown more innings in a 3-year span than they have in their entire careers. Suarez, Sanchez, Nola, and Wheeler all included. Luzardo, obviously the injury history, Painter coming back slowly. Gives you some options, but if I had to put money on it, I would say he probably sees between 5 to 8 starts the rest of the year at the major league level and is kept as a depth piece. Probably not cracking the postseason roster. Not saying he won't pitch well, but they happen to have a plethora of good arms right now.
You're damn right. All right, moving forward here tonight, once again, -115 favorites. 5 is your strikeout prop on DraftKings Sportsbook. Kind of like that. I think that this Blue Jays team won't be able to make some adjustments till later. Of course, haven't seen them before. A little bit of an unknown at this point in time. So I do like Mick Abel tonight to get the job done. Hopefully the Phillies can continue to win. Mets lost last night. We like that, and especially the way that they ended up losing. Here's how it sounded.
Pitch. Swung on and hit deep to left. Back goes Nimmo, still going back. This ball is off the wall. Around third is Edman. The Dodgers are going to win it. Freddie Freeman with a walk-off double. and the Dodgers win it 6-5 in 10 innings.
Future Hall of Famer Freddie Freeman continues to do what he does out there. And, look, the Dodgers found a way to win another game. Found a way, I kid. Clayton Kershaw getting the start. He went 4 2/3, gave up 3 earned and 3 walks in that. And then they went to a plethora of arms in that bullpen. I'm curious, though, just focus on the Mets. Give me 30 seconds on this one. Juan Soto has not been Juan Soto from the Yankees. They're getting the Padres Juan Soto at this point in time, but yet this is still a team that's at the top of the division. Does that make you concerned? Does that make you look at the Mets a little bit differently because of, hey, man, they're winning games, and a guy like Juan Soto hasn't been producing at all like we thought he would, so therefore watch out. Law of averages is going to play out here throughout the course of the summer? Or you just think, you know what, man, this is what the Mets are. They're going to be a good ball club regardless of who's in there, because it does feel like they got that mojo going again, just like last year.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to play like Juan Soto plays, right? It might not be as impressive power number-wise as it was last season, playing half his games in Yankee Stadium and having the best home run hitter of his generation, Aaron Judge, hitting behind him. But he has started to heat up. I mean, he's got 4 homers in his last 5 games, I think. As before yesterday's game, he was hitting .400 with 5 runs, 2 doubles, 3 homers, 5 ribbies, and no strikeouts in the 5 games prior to yesterday. So maybe not scorching hot as of yet, because it's only been 5 games, but the guy has started to catch fire. That team is legit. The thing that I was most worried about for them, trying to be a neutral party, even though that's tough to do, was their pitching. And it's held up through the first 2 months a little bit better than I think most people would expect. If they can add an arm at the deadline, they are a serious threat. And like we said, Juan Soto hasn't even been himself yet, and here they are at the top of the NL East. So it's going to be tough sledding with them all season, and you can't ignore the Braves either. It's a strong division. The Nats are above 500. I mean, they're playing well, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, the Mets, Juan Soto is going to be himself soon. He might look like the Juan Soto of old right now. You know, it might be in the middle of happening right now. We're going to look back in 2 weeks and be like, what the heck were we talking about? This guy struggling.
Yeah. Mets and Dodgers, game 3 tonight. Of course, they split the first 2. Game 3, they're playing 4 out there in L.A. Remember, Mets took 2 or 3 just last week against the Dodgers at Citi Field. Minus 148 Gonsolin on the mound for the Dodgers, the plus 124 for Griffin Canning and the Mets. So the total coming in at 10. I'd like to believe that I will be up watching that game. We do have Stanley Cup action that does have my attention. We'll talk a little bit about that on the other side, see if Canada is going to break that drought. That's the most intriguing talking point that I'm going to give you as far as Stanley Cup is concerned. We'll go over those numbers because I think it is eye-opening just as far as Canada not getting the Stanley Cup to prevail in the great country of Canada north of the border. So we'll talk a little bit about that matchup coming up tonight, game 1, all the odds and information. But however, Phillies conversation stays hot. Mick Abel expectations. Hit us in the chat at Fox PHL Gambler on socials. Kyle Fisher hanging with me. And other side, we're mixing in some football. Football season's here. Fantasy football. I got Roy Burton joining the program coming up at 4:05. We're going to go over the top 10 picks. Kyle Fisher. This is what I'm going to hit you off with. A little homework assignment during the break. You ready?
All right. Gotcha.
I don't give you the first pick. I give you the second pick. Who you taking number 2? Number 2. You don't have the first pick. Number 2, if you have the fantasy football draft and it's today, you get the second overall pick. Who you taking? We'll find out who Kyle Fisher is going to draft on the other side. Daily Ticket. Just getting warmed up more after this.
Spring is in the air, and it's time to swing for the fences. Our MLB coverage is bringing heat all season long.
Everybody moves up 90 feet.
Be sure to catch Luke Arcaney and Sean Brace on the Daily Ticket. Only one place that covers all the action. It's The Gambler.
This September, our iHeartRadio Music Festival,
presented by Capital One, is coming back to Las Vegas.
And you can win your way to be there.
Streaming live only on Hulu. Tickets go on sale June 13th at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific through AXS.com. But starting June 11th at 1 p.m. Eastern, Capital One cardholders get first access to tickets and other exclusive offers for 48 hours only, or while pre-sale tickets last. Visit iHeartRadio.com/Capital One for more pre-sale details. What's in your wallet? Keep listening for the next chance to win your way to our iHeartRadio Music Festival, presented by Capital One.
Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. Now, total traffic for Philadelphia.
Westbound Schuylkill Crawling approaching University Divine Expressway. with a disabled vehicle in the right lane. Further West Jam Boulevard to Belmont. Eastbound Sabigo approaching Montgomery Drive to south. And 95 northbound backed up at Sirosta Bridge. All right, to tell a total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Macy's Backstage. What will you find at Macy's Backstage? How about essential warm weather styles, just $30 and under, like dresses, shoes and bags, men's, and even kids' looks. Find the latest trends, new arrivals, and great prices at a Macy's Backstage store near you.
Stay tuned to Fox PHL The Gambler for the latest CEOs you should know. We highlight Jennifer Lawson, President and CEO of Keep America Beautiful. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Trust and Will knows that we'll all eventually need a will. How about right now? Trust and Will makes creating your will easy, like while you're lounging on the couch easy. Trust and Will is designed by attorneys but customized by you, and all documents are state-specific and secure. Find your plan at trustandwill.com and use offer code RADIO now for 10% off. That's trustandwill.com, offer code RADIO. Trust and Will is an online estate planning service. Visit trustandwill.com for details.
The Big Three is back Saturday, June 14th, live on CBS. Fast-paced, physical, 3-on-3. Michael Beasley, Dwight Howard, Lance Stevenson, Jeff Teague, Joe Johnson, Montrezl Harrell, and more. Live on CBS, 3 p.m. Eastern. Yay, yay!
I have heart failure, and being out of breath all the time was just too much. I also have other symptoms like carpal tunnel syndrome and lower back pain, and I thought something's really off. That's why I talked to my cardiologist about ATTR-CM, or transthyretin cardiac amyloidosis.
ATTR-CM is a serious heart condition often accompanied by other non-heart-related symptoms. It's a condition that gets worse over time, so starting treatment early is important. Talk to your cardiologist today to see if you have ATTR-CM. Vindamax, tafamidis, is a prescription pill taken once a day to treat adults with ATTR-CM to reduce death and hospitalization for heart problems. Tell your doctor about all your medications, medical conditions, and if you have liver problems or breastfeeding, pregnant, or plan to be. There are no known side effects with Vindamax. For prescribing information, call 1-877-278-9632. Learn more at Vindamax.com.
Ask your doctor about ATTR-CM.
Sponsored by Pfizer.
Looking for the perfect outdoor dining experience with a view? Join us at Randall's Restaurant, located in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Don't miss out on our summer promotions, including burgers and brew night every Tuesday starting June 10th, with delicious chef-crafted burgers paired with a refreshing selection of brews. On July 4th weekend, drink specials to celebrate the holiday, and Wine Fest coming in late August. More details at randallslegacy.com. That's randallslegacy.com.
iHeartRadio just gave driving an upgrade with Presets, now on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Your go-to stations, podcasts, and playlists all just a tap away on your dash. Start your engine, hit play, and drive happy. Free with iHeartRadio on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto.
Huge news. Right now at Wendy's, you can get a Son of Baconator for just $3. I don't think you understand this situation. The Son of Baconator is only $3 for a limited time. You know, smoked bacon, rich melted cheese. That Son of Baconator is only $3. Thank you to whoever wished upon that star. For bacon that just won't quit, gotta be Wendy's.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii, not valid on a combo or on third-party delivery platform.
Do you own or manage a business here in Philadelphia? Are you unsure where to start when it comes to advertising? Well, here's a surprise. Fox Sports The Gambler, your local iHeart station, is the one place you can get it all. Hey, it's Sean Brace, and we can help with everything from radio and podcast ads to social media and digital. And we can even get local voices like mine spreading the word about your business. So if you're looking for someone to take care of it all, do yourself a favor right now. Call 844-844-iHeart or visit iHeartAdvertising.com today. Hey, man, you all right? Need me to call 911? No, call Top Dog Law. Get top dollar for your accident at TopDogLaw.com. Once again, that's TopDogLaw.com.
Oh my God. Kyle Fisher with us here. All right, so I'm grimacing right now, and Whew, we got a little office challenge going on, Kyle. I know you're not in the office with this. You're at your studio, but the people over at Pure Plank, gopureplank.com. You ever hear of this? Your mic is off. You're muted. You're a wrestling guy, so you know these guys. Christian, the Edge,
and Christian. Oh yeah.
That's who it is.
Yeah.
All right. So Edge and Christian, this is their deal.
Oh, I've seen ads for this. Haven't seen it in person though.
I just planked. We're having a little bit of an office competition. Who can plank the longest? Now, full disclosure, I'm doing a show. Here. So it's like, I'm up against it. We had a commercial break. I had that in the back of my mind. I'm like, do I have enough time here? So I think that played into it. I had more, but I just did 2 minutes and 30 seconds planked.
Oh, there you go. You go. All right. See, now when you came in grimacing, I thought it was you making like a on those awesome tunes that we have bringing us in.
Right.
Turns out you were sitting here working out while I'm in my office just probably having a snack.
Squeezing it in. Well, look, the gopureplank.com. It's pretty cool. I will give these guys this. And of course, man, when you're a wrestler, I don't care what level you're at, you get in that ring, you better be in shape or you ain't making it. And so it starts with your core, always starts with your core. As a guy who has a bad back that continues to sleep on the couch from time to time, which is a huge no-no, but still, planking is a good deal because it gets you right where you need it most. Now, with that being said, they have some other things that go onto it, that's the cool thing about this, is that the board is really thick and it's got some great grips, the handles that you can move it down there, but there's other exercises that you can do around it. But all I know is, man, you go 10 minutes a day on that. Like I just did 2.5, take a breather, take 5 minutes, go back in there, 2.5, take a breather, go another 2.5 minutes. I'm telling you right now, that would be an awesome workout and you would definitely feel it. I'm already feeling it right now. Crazy.
Well, and I used to plank when I was a high school wrestler. And it's been a very long time, Sean. So I'll have to take a look and see if I can come out to the studio and test drive this thing.
Remember when planking was a thing?
It was just randomly planking, but they weren't doing the workout. It was just laying down flat on things,
which was cool. I like that. I think we need to bring back that and a dab.
Yeah, me and you, we're planking and dabbing all over the Delaware Valley.
Some other dumb things that are happening around here, and a great job by Powers on that one with the Pure Plank. Hey, go ahead and scoop one up. Just as far as with the Phillies taking place this evening, game 2, we'll continue to talk about that, but I do want to hit on what took place last night at the F1 Arcade. Went down to Philly. They rolled out the literal red carpet for everybody in Philadelphia, VIP treatment. A lot of media members, Philadelphia Union players were there. Eagles players were there. Jordan Davis. Who else? Yeah, there was a couple of Eagles were in the house. I'm trying to think. John Clark was there. Like I said, media members. It was packed up. But man, I'll tell you what, the treatment that they gave, incredible. This is the 5th opening of the F1 Arcade Global. There's 3, I want to say, national or international, and then 2. Philadelphia was the 5th property that just opened up. Pretty big stuff there for the city of Philadelphia, but when I'm telling you, man, they rolled out the red carpet. As I said, literally all the food and booze was tremendous. Open bar, essentially. They had DJ Jazzy Jeff and Mick Boogie DJing. It was incredible. They kept it going from start and to finish. I was kicking it with the Godfather of Meat, who's going to co-host eventually on this program. Great follow on all things socials. Just a diehard football fan, and he's made a name for himself with the world of Instagram fame. I love it. Was talking to him for a little bit, but just a great time. And for the people that are F1 fans, you're going to love it, right? It's very cool. And if you're an arcade fan or you're a racing fan, you're going to love it. It was very cool. The question I have, though, is this, Kyle, because there were simulators from front to back. I mean, I'm talking, I don't even know how many, if I could put a number on it, like 80, 60 would be a good number, I would say, probably 60. Jeez. And I'm just like, okay, and it's not like Mario Kart. It's not like, it's real deal racing, right? Like I took a left turn and I banged up my left side and my car couldn't finish. I only got in there once, but you're shaking. The wheel is like the square wheel, like they have in F1.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh, no joke. Absolutely no joke. But I don't know. Like, okay, if you're not a diehard F1 fan, you should go. You should give it a shot. Give it an opportunity. It's a beautiful place. Great venue. And as I said, food and drinks was awesome too. But if you're not an F1 fan, like what's going to get you in there continuously? Let's just put it that way. So I'm curious to see how that's going to look like a couple months in a row. Again, they just opened up. Good luck to you. But now the hard part comes, right? The easy part was getting it open. Don't tell the people that opened it. But that was the easy part. Now you got to get butts and seats. And I'm curious to see what that's going to look like a couple months from down the road here.
Now, you said you did it once. Is the feedback like, I mean, obviously you've never been behind the wheel of a real F1 vehicle, but is it like legit? Like you really need to be hands up? See, not
that, but like you feel it. You're shaking. You're shaking.
That there would be the thing that I think would get me coming back, right? It's the safest way to get behind a crazy car like that and actually let it run without putting your body on the line. I'd be interested. I think I'm going to have to check it out after this, Sean.
Yeah, it was good, man. I definitely would tell people to go check it out. Great time down there. And like I said, man, from the time we walked in at 6:15, myself, Sean Bernard, and Sam Ostry, to the time we left, everything was still rocking. And, if I didn't have a 3-week-old, Lane just turned 3 weeks today, I would have stayed out a little bit longer, but I had to get home and help out as much as I could. Yeah, exactly. A little bit. All right, Daily Ticket rolling on. Kyle Fisher with us here. Question of the day to get the party started. Mick Abel, your expectations. What do you want to see? Mark Henry Jr., he's a man of few words. A kid. He's on the Gambler every Saturday. He just said straight up win. I get it. You just want to see a victory. And I open up the show by saying, I don't care if you go 1 for 4, 0 for 5, whatever it is, just win. It's a little different with him, right? There's definitely something going on here. And I know we want to sit here and say that Aaron Nola is going to be fine, but there's a chance he's not. There's a chance someone gets hurt. Like, we want to see Mick Abel be dominant, damn it.
Yeah, I don't know if he needs to be dominant, but he needs to be one of the top reasons that they win the game. He needs to leave in a position to win. His performance needs to be win-worthy. 5 or 6 strong innings, setting the bullpen up. If something happens once he leaves the game, that's out of his control. But if he shows that he can put his major league club against another major league club in a position to win every time out, that's what you need from a depth piece. We'll worry about what his ceiling is later. For the role that he is likely to play on this team, barring any crazy circumstances or compiling injuries, anything like that, he's not going to be needed to go every 5th day. But he does need to be available, and if he can prove that he can get major league lineups out on a consistent basis, maybe some dominance mixed in, but he doesn't need to go out there and look like Paul Skeens. He needs to focus on what he can control and set his team up for victory.
It'd be pretty cool if he did, though.
Of course. We're reserving that for that judgment for the Andrew Painter debut, not for the Mick Abel debut. So.
Super fired up to see what that kid looks like. All right, let's keep it moving here. Having some fun. Got Kyle Fisher, does a great job covering everything, including the NFL. And football season right around the corner. Fantasy football drafts right around the corner. Roy Burton's going to join us coming up here at 4:05. I want to get some odds and ends going with him as far as fantasy football season. And, we're going to have some fun with top 10 picks, players that he can't wait to hear more about what their role is come training camp, rookies with expectations, injuries. So we're going to jab at the fantasy football world on the other side. So I figured that, before we get into some real deal Eagles discussion, because I got one on Mr. Saquon Barkley, also in the news today. So got some sound there from a very interesting podcast that he did with Chris Long. But number 1 overall pick, and I said it was easy. But the overall number 1 pick for you in fantasy football would be who?
Well, it's likely going to be Jamar Chase, right? I mean, he's especially if you're in a PPR league, he's the top receiver. He's the top target of one of the most prolific throwers in the league. Depending on where you are or what your rule set is, it might be Barkley after the impressive season that he had and the continued health of the Eagles' offensive line. So you're going to have one of those 2 guys go number 1, I would assume.
127 grabs last year. 127 grabs. What was he targeted? Do we have that number? I got it right here for you. 175. Targeted 175 times. Yeah, I could see him going number 1 overall. Sure.
Yeah.
All right. So the number 2, Kyle Fisher on the clock. Are you going Barkley?
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason to think that he won't have another strong season. The one thing I'd be weary of is that there is traditionally a fall off for the 2,000-yard rushers. There's only been 2 guys who really missed a lot of time due to injury after rushing for 2,000 yards, but it's hit or miss whether you even reach 1,500 yards again after rushing for 2,000. So I'd be weary on him. Derrick Henry's another guy who you might consider there. And he is one of the few guys who's run for 2,000 and then broke 1,500 again in a future season. Yeah, I mean, I'd probably go Barkley if he's not taking number 1. I'm big on running back in the first round, regardless, just because the position is thinner, especially in a PPR league. You want somebody who's going to give you a little bit of both. So I'd go Barkley if he's still there. If you took Barkley number 1, I'd probably go Henry, with the exception. Jahmyr Gibbs, I think, is going to have another big year. He does a lot of catching out of the backfield. So if I'm in a PPR league, I might consider him over one of the other 2 guys who pushed 2,000.
Yeah, you're right about that. He had an awesome 5-game stretch to end the season. I'm a huge Gibbs guy, was a huge Gibbs guy when he was drafted, loved that draft pick, and had a Heisman Trophy ticket on him in his final season at Alabama. Kid was ripping it up in college, and he gets over to Bama. I thought for sure he would end up winning the Heisman. Did not get the job done, but still love that pick, and I'm right there with you as well from that offense with Detroit. Staying, though, with the Philadelphia Eagles, let's talk about Mr. Saquon Barkley. First of all, I did not get an opportunity to get this yesterday, so I'm going to tee this up, and of course, he's in the news for a number of reasons, one being the Madden cover. 2, Saquon Barkley down there, of course, what's happening, Geno Stakes. And then 3, he had a recent podcast with Chris Long talking about potentially retiring early. And I thought it was a good question by Chris Long. He's a former player, so he knew what he was going to get with that. So nice work there. But during an appearance on Monday's edition of NFL Network's The Insiders program, Barkley suggested the team has successfully moved on from what it achieved this past February. He said the following, quote, "The beauty of it is you have to have an opportunity to do it again." That's what the mindset kind of shifts to, is to learn from it. And even though you had a great year, there's so many plays and so many things I could continue to improve on. You've got to be obsessed with the little details and locking into taking your game to another level. My question to you, Kyle Fisher, is this. When you look at what Saquon Barkley did last year, and I get it, winning is everything. But let's just focus on the fantasy side. Let's focus on the player himself. Where exactly can Saquon Barkley improve? He was dominant. He was incredible. He dropped the 1 ball, and that was it. That was the only time I complained about Saquon Barkley all season long. And to be honest with you, I didn't complain about Saquon in that moment. I complained about the freaking play call. That was where I was frustrated about. Don't throw the ball in that position. You don't throw the ball in that spot. Run it, and you win that game. However, Saquon Barkley says he can do better this year. How? Where? What am I missing?
The better could be a few things, right? He probably looks at tape of himself in the pass blocking game and sees things that I don't know as not an NFL player, right? I don't know how to recognize certain things, but there's probably certain things he thinks that he can do to help the passing game, whether it be to stay in the pocket or near the pocket and help Hurts expand his time there, whether it's being a bigger weapon on the outside, catching balls out of the backfield. I think he had under 150 catches, under 150 targets last year. I could see that being something where he wants to see improvement. Could it impact his rushing numbers? Sure. But he's probably a guy, those guys at the top end of the game, they're looking at the totality of everything. So we see 2,000 yards, 9th time it's ever happened in league history. Like, how can the guy get better? But there's things day in and day out in his preparation that he probably feels he can do better. That drop that you just talked about probably haunted him half the season, right? Obviously, everybody is big on, let's just flush it. It's a mistake. You move on. And how could you think that one drop might mess with a guy when he rushed for over 2,000 yards? But those are the things that these high-level competitors focus on, right? So that's the way I envision him getting better. Not that his overall total yards numbers will be greater than they were this season. I think just naturally you're going to see a reduction in rushing yards. It happens for every 2,000-yard rusher. But can he be more effective in the receiving game? Can he be a true weapon to help Hurts look even better as a passer, right? Can he, not even a knock on everybody, can he finish some of those long touchdown runs instead of getting stopped short, causing them to need to use the tush push in the first place? So can he get those first downs? Can he get those touchdowns where maybe he fell a little short and had to put the ball in his quarterback's hands to get the job done? So there's certain things that he can do. Maybe I haven't looked at the numbers. I didn't do a deep dive into first down conversion rate or anything like that. But those are some of the things I could see him focusing on and saying, okay, we know what I can do in the rushing game, but everybody knows what I can do in the rushing game now. How do I surprise the league again next season?
I like that because you're right. There are plenty of things that happen in a professional's season, game, night, daily, whatever it may be that we don't see. We don't know. We have no idea what's happening, and on the surface, on the box score, it's real easy to sit there in the back of the baseball card. 345 over 2,000 yards, 13 touchdowns. No doubt about it. But he did have the 2 fumbles. Maybe that's something he's like, I want to end the season with 0 fumbles, which he did a few times with the New York Giants. This is a man that does not put the ball on the ground all that much. I don't remember the 2 fumbles. I think one was against Jacksonville. I'm pulling that one out of my keister. I don't remember the other one. But yeah, you're right. Let's just not even waste any time on that one. Another question I have before we get into potentially retiring early. He's 28, just turned 28. 345. DeMarco Murray is not Saquon Barkley, but DeMarco Murray was real. And that opened my eyes. That I was the guy going, just feed him the rock. Let's go. No, there's truth behind that. When somebody runs the ball as much as they did the previous year, it could have an effect the following season. 345. Do you think that that's going to have an effect on Saquon Barkley? I do not. Full disclosure. I'm not sure about you. And then second of all, do you think the Eagles need to think about this in future, right? In future terms where, okay, 345 last year, let's use him a little less this year because we just gave him the new contract. Huge piece to the puzzle. We need him around. It's better for us as far as longevity is concerned. Do you think they're thinking about that at all when it comes to Saquon Barkley's workload next year? Or do you just think this is gas pedal down? We got to win another Super Bowl and Saquon Barkley's the bell cow back.
Well, you do need to consider it, right? There's history often repeats itself in life, in sports, and whatever the case may be. And people with the level of workload that he's had over the last few seasons typically see injuries or drastic fall-offs. It's like, I forget the number. I'll have to find the article and tweet it out. There was something going into last season about, a few weeks into the season, I think it was at the bye week, about how his usage was so high and the history of guys who have had high usage like that. If you want him to be healthy all season long, it's not a bad idea to pull back on the gas pedal a little bit with him. Obviously, he's a major part of the offense, so you can't abandon the run. You can't turn him all of a sudden into a platoon guy or a two-headed monster in the backfield. He's going to be out there for the majority of games, but can you pull him a little early? Like if you're winning games big, sure. I think one of the ways you can do that and get less wear and tear on his body is by doing some of the things I spoke about, right? Get creative with having him line up in a rushing formation and then breaking out to the outside and either handing it off to the secondary back or tossing to the outside to him on a stretch play so he can have a better shot of getting out of bounds instead of taking some physical damage. We know how strong he is, but health hasn't always been the thing he's been known for. Last year kind of, I think, surprised everybody, especially with how heavy the workload was. It's tough to expect him to be able to repeat that. So a drastic drop-off in usage, no, but I think they have to be and will be cognizant of his workload, especially in the early going.
I believe so. You're right on that one as well. And look, again, I know he's talking about it, and we will get into that. But when you look at the depth chart, Will Shipley is that guy now. And I don't know if Will Shipley is going to be somebody that can take those carries that Gainwell did last year and so on, right? We know that they'll probably end up adding another name here or there. We got a long way to go, and even in the season, changes could be made. But Will Shipley is absolutely going to get his opportunity. I like him. He proved his worth. He had that big long run against the Commanders. I think he did well in the final 2 games when he got a lot of PT as well in the regular season, that when they weren't playing for much. But it is a much different spot for him this year, and that's going to play in to whether or not you're going to be able to give Saquon Barkley a spell, if you do believe in a guy like Will Shipley or the backup running back, whoever it may be. So Will Shipley, your thoughts? Should we be looking at him? I kid as far as the fantasy is concerned, but do you think he's going to be a step up from what we saw last year with the RB2 spot?
Step up, I don't know. Obviously, he's going to have to show some things early, but I liked what I saw from him last year. I think that clearly the team likes him, but he has to continue to develop. And one of the ways you develop in the NFL is by letting the guy in front of you really work and learning from him in practice. So we'll see what another offseason with the club does. We'll see what another year learning behind Barkley does for him. If he shows flashes early or shows flashes in training camp and the preseason, then I don't see why he wouldn't see a heavier workload earlier in the season. Obviously not a heavy one, because you do have Barkley, like you said, as the cowbell rather. Question for you about Barkley. They don't have him from, I know that there's a couple of void years on there, whatever, but I think that for the long term in the next few years, they probably lessen his workload. Now that he's said publicly that he may just retire out of nowhere, do you go, hey, balls to the wall, man, we're going to run you into the ground until you tell us we can't, and take advantage while you have him, as opposed to saving him for a time where you might not?
Well put. Nice segue. Chris Long on the Greenlight podcast. I want to say it's the Greenlight podcast. Yep. Live at Steakwan's 2 nights ago or 2 days ago, when it was announced that he was going to be the Madden cover boy. Saquon was asked, what do you know about your future? Are you going to eventually just hang it up out of nowhere? Are you going to play until the wheels fall off? And this is what Saquon had to say.
One of my favorite plays of all time is probably my favorite play of all time is Barry Sanders. So probably similar to that. Maybe one day, like, it'll be out of nowhere. I'll probably be balling and just be like, yeah, call it quits.
I think all professional athletes probably have that in their mind, but dollars and cents kick in. Yeah. What can you get? And it's just, Barry Sanders was in a different time. And I'm not going to sit here and say that Barry Sanders today would not do the same thing, but it's a hell of a lot more difficult just because of the extra zeros that are now attached to everything, not just even the Eagles contract. We're talking about, what do you think he's getting paid for this Madden cover? What do you think he's getting paid for all these other proposals that continue to come his way as one of the best? I mean, dude's good looking, a really down to earth, good dude, golfer. Look at the history, what he was doing in high school. There's a story out there that doesn't get told enough about he gave a medal to somebody that was running, and I'm probably going to butcher the story. It's just, this guy is an A+ personality. And I know that there's some people out there that are mixed up with what's happening as far as with his deal with Trump playing golf, but whatever. Bottom line is, show me who you are. I don't care about words. Actions speak louder than that. This dude backs it up and then some. So I'm a Saquon Barkley fan, both on and off the field. I hope he doesn't hang it up, but yeah, zeros attached are going to make life a little bit more difficult here.
You know what, though? A lot of those reasons you just mentioned, right? Good looking guy, well spoken, beloved by the public, great in the community.
I know where you're going.
Those are all the reasons that he may retire early, because media jobs pay a ton. He could start a podcast just like Jason Kelce and make a ton of money for a long time and save his body in the process. And look at what Jason's been able to turn that into. The guy is everywhere all the time. And just a year ago, he's one of the best centers, if not the best center in the entire NFL. So could he take a page from one of his favorite athletes ever books and hang it up? It wouldn't surprise me. And I would imagine that the Eagles are going to have some conversations with him about that.
Damn you, Chris Long. You're having a good start to the summer. Got to stir it up. No, you're right about that. Great job. Kyle Fisher, fantastic hour, man. Can't thank you enough. I love getting you on midweeks here as we continue to roll throughout this summer. Daily Ticket right here with Kyle Fisher. Be sure to follow him. Kyle Fisher 45, representing the fine folks over at Phillies Sports Network. He does a ton over there. Be sure to read everything. Once again, PhilliesSportsNetwork.com. One play for tonight's Blue Jays and Phillies game before we get out of here.
Berrios over on strikeouts.
Oh,
offensive explosion yesterday. I could see them getting a little swing happy Not guaranteeing it. I think they still come out with the victory. I didn't look at the over-under, but I would imagine it's not extremely high. He's not known as a strikeout pitcher, so I think that might be a safe bet, even if the Phillies still come out victorious.
We'll go 5+ at -140. A little juiced up there. Or are you feeling frisky? You want to get the 6+ at +145?
Ooh,
call your shot.
I'd go 6+. I'd do it.
Well, hot damn, Kyle Fisher.
I still think the Phillies win the game, but I think Barrios gets a few
bet. Yeah, I bet.
Ah, Lord.
All right. Nice work, man. Hey, great job as always. We'll catch up later in the week, sir. Continue to read you, continue to follow you on all things socials. Always a pleasure. And thanks for a couple minutes there, man.
Thank you.
There he is. Kyle Fisher once again on the Gambler stream. Keeping it moving. I'm not planking. No planking. Roy Burton's going to join the party on the other side. Let's talk some fantasy football. Let's get back over to the world of the NFL. Yes, dude. We're lining up drafts. We're going to be pulling names out of hats to figure out where you're drafting. We got a lot to discuss with Roy Burton. Fantasy Football Chapter 1. It gets the party started here on the Daily Ticket. Oh, by the way, coming up 5 o'clock, Swinging and Ding It, Moose, Mays, and Danielle Matthews, all things PGA Tour. 6 o'clock, Football is King. Nick McClay and Ryan Beefcoil. Yes, everybody knows football is king. Talking all things NFL and college football. Two voices that matter. Young, up-and-coming guys here on the Gambler. Definitely be sure to listen to that coming up at 6 o'clock. Other side, Roy Burton. More after this.
Rocket.com is the new home for all things homeownership. Whether you're buying your first home, finding your next one, or unlocking home equity to fund one of your dreams, there's only one destination that has everything you need to get started all under one roof. Get started today at Rocket.com. Rocket, own the dream.
Camping is such an adventure. I love how there's a surprise around every corner. Except when I'm surprised with a sudden allergy attack. Luckily, I've got Claritin D to attack back. And I didn't even need a prescription for this.
Get fast, powerful relief from your worst symptoms, like nasal congestion. It's so fast, it starts working in as little as 30 minutes.
Now, I can enjoy sleeping under the stars instead of sneezing under them.
Claritin clears. Use as directed.
It's Macy's Friends and Family Sale, which means if you're shopping for summer, you can get insider deals on our best brands, even ones that aren't usually on sale, like an extra 30% off Hugo Boss, Calvin Klein, Levi's, and more. Plus, get 15% off beauty and fragrance. And with Father's Day just around the corner on June 15th, it's a great time to shop for Dad. Stop by Macy's today and walk out with the perfect gift. Don't miss Friends and Family. Going on now, only at Macy's. Savings off regular and already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
People always say, Ryan, why don't you take it easy? Relax a little bit. Well, that's what the Staples Easy button is for. Just press it for quality products, friendly experts, and services like print, travel, or shipping, because we can't do it all. All right, guys? Thanks, Staples. That was easy.
Here's what's trending on the iHeart Sports Network, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook.
Eagles guard Landon Dickerson returned to the practice field for OTAs yesterday. After recovering from knee surgery, Philly resumes their workouts tomorrow. To hockey, where the Flyers are keeping forward Noah Cates out of free agency. They signed the 26-year-old to a 4-year, $16 million contract. And Coco Gauff dropped her first set at the French Open today, but then rallied to beat Madison Keys for a return trip to the semis. I'm Scott Davidson.
DraftKings is all about responsible gaming. It's more fun when it's for fun. So play responsibly. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 or older. Age and eligibility vary by jurisdiction.
Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. Now, total traffic for Philadelphia.
We've got jam traffic on the Walt Whitman into New Jersey, down to 42 south of Creek Road. North on 295, stop traffic approaching 42. Crash has all lanes blocked. Westbound Schuylkill Jan, University Teacher Board. Eastbound, stop and go Montgomery Drive to south. All right, to tell it total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Dairy Queen. Hurry into DQ for their sauced and tossed chicken strip baskets with flavor from the top, bottom, and everywhere in between. Try them today in Honey Barbecue or New Buffalo, only at DQ. Happy tastes good, only at participating Dairy Queen locations.
Do you own or manage a business here in Philadelphia? Are you unsure where to start when it comes to advertising? Well, here's a surprise. Fox Sports The Gambler, your local iHeart station, is the one place you can get it all. Hey, it's Sean Brace, and we can help with everything from radio and podcast ads to social media and digital. And we can even get local voices like mine spreading the word about your business. So if you're looking for someone to take care of it all, Do yourself a favor right now. Call 844-844-iHeart or visit iHeartAdvertising.com today.
The following heartwarming yet informative scene is brought to you by Trust and Will.
Son, your grandpa and I used to work on this car together, and when I'm gone, I want you to have it.
Wow. Thanks, Dad.
Doesn't count. What you need is a will. Luckily, Trust and Will makes it easy. Designed by attorneys, but customized by you can easily create a state-specific, legally valid document that actually counts. Now, let's let the engine do the talking, am I right? Start your will at trustandwill.com. Use offer code COUNT for 10% off and make it count. Trust and Will is an online estate planning service. For details, see trustandwill.com.
Kubota Orange Days delivers the savings you need for the life you love. Shop a wide selection of equipment at your local dealer, including America's #1 selling compact tractor. And get your perfect match delivered to your door. Designed for comfort and built for performance. Now through June 30th, get 0 down, 0% APR for 84 months or up to $3,000 off select compact tractors. Sales ending soon. See the details at KubotaOrangeDays.com.
Well, these polymers aren't as flexible as batch K3.
Researcher Laurie is stretched thin.
Did you get the vulcanization analytics from V66? Wait, are these rubber scores from last week?
She needs to hire new lab technicians so she can bounce back into her old self.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our matching platform lets you spend less time searching and more time connecting with candidates. Redeem your $75 credit at Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom!
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from
we can be twinsies
to
how was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom.
freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. member FDIC.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like you know to check for your wallet first before hitting the drive-thru.
$6.
Sorry, forgot my wallet. I have change, though. Here's 40 cents, another 40. Ooh, a bicentennial.
What's that?
Oh, gosh.
Checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
#1 on your car radio preset and the new and improved iHeartRadio app. WDAS and WD273D Philadelphia is Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler.
Daily Ticket with you here. 4 o'clock hour underway. 5 o'clock swinging and dinging. All things PGA Tour. A lot going on. Quit picking on Rory already. Every single time I go to my timeline, no matter the platform, it's something about Rory McIlroy. And, oh, he didn't speak to this reporter. Oh, it's just like enough already. And that whole story in the PGA Tour, just real quick on this, because it's not mandatory for them to talk to the media after the round. Yo, commish, do your job. Make it mandatory. If it's not, then these guys are professional athletes. They're not going to talk. They're going to walk away. It's their right. They don't have to stick around. It's voluntary. But make it mandatory. You're a professional league with billions of dollars behind you. They should talk after every round. Quick, easy, in and out. I mean, come on, man. It's not that difficult. People are getting paid a lot of money, Roy Burton, to be bad at their job. It just seems like it's a plague in this country, damn it. I kid. Roy Burton, who's great at his job, and I love talking to Roy because you know what? When we talk to Roy Burton, football season is near. Roy,
yes, sir.
Man.
It's been too long, Brace. How's it been, man?
You know, got a baby, 3 weeks old, struggling there, maintaining.
Congrats, yes.
Thank you, man. You know, fighting the good fight, trying to do some big things for us coming up here for all things football season, and of course the focus on you because nobody does fantasy football like Roy Burton. So we got a big season in front of us, sir. Of course, the Eagles winning Super Bowl last year, yeah, that helps.
It doesn't hurt, you know. So it's always glad to kind of come into a season with that a little extra weight on your left hand, you know, the little ring on your left hand feels a little good coming into the 2025 year, I would say.
You're damn right about that. All right. Now, when I dialed you up and said, Roy, I want to get you on the show, this is some topics I want to hit. I didn't think we were going to get two softballs thrown our way. And first and foremost, I played the sound about Saquon Barkley potentially retiring early. I want to get your thoughts on that. But I would like to open up with this. The Houston Texans, a lot of expectations last year with the Texans, and it starts and ends with that quarterback, C.J. Stroud. All of a sudden, he's got a sore shoulder, yet nobody seems to be concerned. Here's what D'Amico Ryans had to say yesterday.
He has general soreness, and we're just taking extra precaution with him. When he's ready to go, he'll be ready to go. What I said, that's it for him. Like, it's general soreness, and we're taking extra precaution with him. We're not going to rush him into anything. He'll be fine. When the moment is for him to be ready to go, he'll be ready to go.
I think there's a website that puts a meter, or excuse me, it's a Twitter account that puts the meter on coach speak or not, whether it's truthful or not. Where are you at with that? 5 being like he's being 100% honest. 1, he's lying through his teeth. Where do you stand on CJ Stroud and no concerns over the shoulder?
Yeah, I think it's probably closer to a 4.5. It's still pretty early. Again, when they say general soreness, that's usually what it means. Again, it's June, so I'm not overly concerned about it. But I won't say it's a funny situation in Houston, but it's a much different situation in Houston, with that offense than it was last year. Obviously, your guy Tank Dell is probably going to be out for the year, so that receiving situation is going to be a little different. Obviously, Nico is going to be the guy, but who's going to step in and take all those catches that went Tank Dell's way?
Who will?
Well, maybe. Could be. They drafted a couple of young wide receivers in the draft. I mean, you spent a second round pick on, was it Jaden Higgins, third round pick on Jalen Noel. You brought in Christian Kirk, who's a solid hand, not a great receiver, but he's a fine guy. Those 3 guys are probably going to take the catches. Now, how those get split, your guess, my guess, who knows? But I think Nico Collins is still going to be the guy because again, Nico Collins, when he's healthy, is a top 5, top 6 wide receiver, in the National Football League. So he's absolutely going to be wide receiver 1. So for you fantasy folks out there who are thinking about drafting Nico Collins in the first round, no worries on that front.
All right. Well, that's where exactly I was going, because there is potentially some people out there that could think that Nico Collins could very well be a number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5 pick. Maybe I might be a little high on him. But then again, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? Let me ask you this, though, to start number 1 overall. Is it as easy as Jamar Chase and that's it?
So it's not as easy as Jamar Chase and that's it. I think you can make a case for 4 guys.
Really?
I think you can make a case for 4 guys. I think that case gets a little stronger if you're in a non-PPR league where running backs have a little bit more weight. But in PPR leagues or half PPR leagues, you probably want to go with Jamar Chase as the first guy. Jamar Chase is just so good. He was just unbelievable last year. Wide receiver 1 by far. He cleared the next guy up, Justin Jefferson. He cleared him by 4.5 points per game, fantasy points per game. He had 9 top 10 finishes last year, 127 catches, and he was even better. He put up more fantasy points per game when T. Higgins was healthy and in the lineup than when T. Higgins was out. This guy is quarterback proof. This guy is wide receiver proof, teammate proof. Jamar Chase is so good that it's hard to pass him up at 1. So he would be my number 1 pick, but I can make a case for Justin Jefferson if you believe in J.J. McCarthy. I can make a case for, Saquon Barkley if you think he's going to have another year like he did last year. And I can probably make a little bit of a case for Bijan Robinson. Those are the 4 I'd kind of put in that first tier. But I think Jamar Chase, in most leagues, it's going to go 1 overall.
Bijan, a little bit of a wild card for me. Now I look up a number of websites right in front of me, and you just brought it up. You're making the case. You could make the case for him number 1 overall. It's got him number 3 here. Yeah, that is intriguing, man. Michael Penix changes things a little bit down there in Atlanta.
Better, should be a better offense, more consistent offense with Michael Penix down there. Michael Penix looks like a pretty decent quarterback in those 3 games that he had last year. Bijan Robinson, the thing about him, again, in PPR league, 61 catches last year, right? 61 catches out of your running back. Plus he had, 315 touches or rushes as well. Really good season. In week 6 to 18 last year, he was RB1. More fantasy points than Saquon, more fantasy points than Jahmyr Gibbs, more fantasy points than any other running back in the NFL, the last, 12 weeks of the season. So again, I can make a case for Bijan Robinson. I still probably would lean towards Justin Jefferson, but Bijan Robinson should be an absolutely, first 3, first 4 or 5 picks in your draft.
You just brought his name up. I want to talk to you about the Detroit Lions running back with Jahmyr Gibbs, right?
Yeah.
Like, why
Yeah.
is he not being discussed in the same manner? Like, I feel like I can make the case for him number one overall. What am I missing?
I don't think you're missing much. I think people are just kind of, they're not sure about the volume, well, A, they're not sure about the volume with David Montgomery. B, they're not sure about the offense with no more Ben Johnson. So I think those two things probably kind of make people, I won't say concerned about Jahmyr Gibbs, but you're right. Like last year, in terms of points per game, he was fantasy running back too, right? 19.8 points per game. He was an absolute monster, when David Montgomery went out at the end of the year. Like he averaged 30 fantasy points per game down the stretch when David Montgomery was out. So again, like I think more people are just concerned about, how much volume is he going to get and what does that offense look like without Ben Johnson and quite frankly, Frank Ragnow, who just retired, their center. That offensive line is going to take a step back, I would think, without possibly the best center in the NFL. So, without Ragnow, without Ben Johnson, that's probably not the same Detroit offense. So I think, you have a right to be a little bit, I won't say concerned about Jahmyr Gibbs, but you have a right to have some questions about his production.
Do the Detroit Lions take a step back in your mind because of losing both coordinators? You just brought up losing the center as far as to retirement. Still have Goff, still have Dan Campbell, still got some playmakers at wide receivers, still got a decent defense. But again, there are some missing pieces right now from what was consistent and successful the past few years. Will the Detroit Lions take a step back in your mind?
Yeah, and look, they're playing a schedule that good teams play, right? Like you're playing a team, you're in a pretty decent division, all things considered. I mean, you have some heavyweights in that division, or teams who could be heavyweights in the Vikings. The Bears should be better. The Packers should be at least decent in that division. Teams that lose both of their coordinators in the year, usually aren't that good. The next year, if the team is good and they lose both the coordinators, usually aren't as good the next year. So I think there's valid concerns about Detroit, being as good as they were last year. I don't know what their over under is. It's probably somewhere around like
10 and a half.
Yeah, it's probably 10 and a half. Geez, that's a good number. I mean, I'd probably bet the over just because I think they're just so talented on offense that it's hard to see them not win 11 games. But yeah, if you told me they win, 11 games and lose in the first round of the playoffs, I wouldn't be surprised.
Our fantasy expert, our guru for all things fantasy football and beyond, Roy Burton, joining us right now. Be sure to follow him at the BS Line on socials and a Game Time Decision. Check him out at GT Decision on X as well. All right, back over to top 10 players, just spitballing, having some fun here on June the 4th. Again, fantasy drafts right around the
there you go.
Right around the corner. I can't help myself.
You can't help it.
Yeah, exactly. And it gets the juices going a little bit. Curious where we're at, excuse me, with Dallas.
Sure.
Because I look at what, again, in a league where quarterback play is number one, so at a premium, you need a quarterback. Teams are in search for a quarterback. Dallas is getting a pretty good quarterback back. Is he great? Is he a guy that's going to be a Hall of Famer? I'm not going to sit here and say that. Is he a guy that's going to win a Super Bowl? No, but Dak is a good quarterback. Damn it. He's better than good. He's very good. So, and you give him George Pickens, which is a huge deal. George Pickens is a big body, goes up, aggressive, will come down with that football more times than not. But the focus on CeeDee Lamb. Does CeeDee take a step back for you now with the addition of George Pickens, or the fact that, man, Dak's back, CeeDee's his guy? We saw what CeeDee's worth was with those, bottom of the barrel quarterbacks. It was just ridiculous. He was still putting up those numbers. Yeah. Does CeeDee take a hit at all with the addition of Pickens to you?
I don't think so. I think you're right. I think whatever, negative you might want to, tag to CeeDee for, George Pickens being there. I think, the positive is that he was still, wide receiver 10 last year, even though he was injured and he had no Dak for half the season. He's still, again, one of the better wide receivers in the NFL. Had 6+ targets in every single game last year, 100+ catches in 3 straight years. I'm with you on Dak. I think I'm maybe yelling into a void, and maybe it's June and nobody cares.
Yeah.
But I think Dak is like a really good fantasy value this year. Like with CeeDee, I mean, the running back situation has always been kind of mediocre during his time, so I'm not concerned about that. But with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, I think Dak's a really good fantasy quarterback. And I did a few kind of mock drafts the last couple of weeks. Dak's been available in like the 10th round, 9th round, 11th round, like pretty deep into the draft. And I think he could be a top 12 fantasy quarterback. I mean, he's not going to give you a lot with his legs, but he should give you, close to 4,000 yards in the air and, maybe somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 touchdowns. I think that's really good value in like the 10th or 11th round of fantasy drafts.
Yeah. And that's what always happens, right? It feels like, again, maybe not for a quarterback as good as Dak has been, but it feels like as the further you wait, you'll see some of those quarterbacks that, are difference makers. And then I always love this too. At the end of the year, right? You spent X on to get this quarterback in round 3. And then all of a sudden you could have got Jared Goff in round 12 and he put up the same amount of numbers. Like I love that.
Like Sam Darnold last year, right?
Those are the ones that make you just want to lose your mind. But that's why we play fantasy. Nobody has all the answers. It's great stuff. All right. Staying in the world of top 10, of course, receivers are top notch for everybody out there. I'm really intrigued by this guy because nothing has changed in my mind. And I get it. Russell is a better quarterback than Daniel Jones or anything they rolled out there last year. But still, it's Russell Wilson at the quarterback position for the New York Giants. But Malik Neighbors was insane. Malik Neighbors was incredible last year. He really is the dude. Where are we at right now? What is your approach with Malik Neighbors and knowing what we know about the quarterback position for the Giants?
So how, every time I come on here, or usually most times I come on here, I talk about the one thing I look at in receivers, no matter what. It's all targets, right? Malik Neighbors had 170 targets last year,
which is
170.
Jamar Chase.
That's unbelievable. It's unbelievable amount of targets. Like that's 10 a game. I mean, like if a guy's getting the ball thrown in his direction 10 times a game, he's going to put up fantasy numbers. Like he was an absolute stud as a rookie. He was wide receiver 8 in terms of points per game. And you're right. He has far better quarterbacks thrown to him. Whether it's Wilson, whether it's Jameis Winston, whether it's Jackson Dart, I don't even know, whatever. Maybe Tommy Cutlass, I don't even know. Whoever the quarterback is going to be better than the slop he had thrown to him for most of last year. He is fantastic. He's absolutely, in my top 10. For me, I think he's 7. Yeah, he's 7 overall. Like he's in that mix, with the Pukas and the CD Lamb, maybe a hair below CD Lamb, but he's in the mix with those other guys around that range. Like he's absolutely a super stud. And look, there's nobody going to really kind of threaten him for catches on that team. So, will he get 170 targets? Maybe not 170, but he'll probably be back in the 150 range.
And look, like you said, if that's the most important number out there, stat, then it's hard to argue because he's going to continue to get that regardless of whoever the quarterback is. And maybe they might get better quarterback play with Russell. What is your take on Russell? Is he garbage? Is he trash? Like, again, I'm not talking about winning the division. I'm not talking about winning the Super Bowl, but I'm talking about competing. I'm talking about, okay, I think the Giants have 1 primetime game. Thank you. But if the Giants played 3 Monday Night Football games, would we be at least interested to tune in to watch Russell Wilson play quarterback for the New York Giants?
Well, yeah, because, he'll have Malik Neighbors, right? Like, he'll have Malik Neighbors. And if you're a fan of Cam Scatteraboo, then maybe that kind of floats your boat too. I mean, like,
is he going to get PT for them this year?
I think so. I think he's probably going to be, running back too. I mean, Tracy's probably like the guy, but I mean, like, I think he'll probably get some run. But I mean, I think Russ has a ceiling. I think Russ he'll give you a couple of plays a game, right? Like we saw it even in Pittsburgh last year. I think I probably would have just stuck with Justin Fields for the rest of the year, for the whole year. But when Russell came in, he gave them a couple plays here and there. Like he still can throw the deep ball a little bit. Who is he going to throw the deep ball to on the Giants not named Malik Neighbors? I don't know. but I think Russ is good enough to kind of win you a couple games. That's the thing about the Giants, right? Like they probably should be in a situation where they just tank and go like 2-15 and like try to find the next guy. But Russ is going to be good enough that they're going to win 5 or 6 games and play themselves out of the number 1 quarterback sweepstakes. So I know if you want Arch Manning, you're probably going to be disappointed, Giants fans, but I don't think that's going to happen because I think Russ is just too good to have them be that bad.
Yeah, look, and the Giants probably should have went down the road of tanking, and I don't know if it started last year. Maybe you want to make Dable like Brett Brown. And just approach him and say, dude, we're not firing you. You're going to be here for the next 3 years, but we have to lose. We need Arch Manning in a Giants uniform. I don't know. Maybe that might be their best shot, but That's an organization that just feels like they can't get out of their own way. From what took place last year with the Hard Knocks, the decisions, the contract, the Jones, Saquon. Like, come on, man. That's a poorly run organization. Oh, by the way, anytime we do talk about Mr. Jameis Winston, we got to play this.
I know I'm better than this. I know I'm just praying for the Lord to deliver me from pick sixes.
That's a great clip.
It's unbelievable.
Oh my God, that's
that
a great
he
clip.
said that last year. That might be.
Oh man.
People were having some fun with the Madden cover and what it should be from last year. I think the best one I saw was AJ Brown reading the book. Love that.
Ooh,
That was good.
That's a good
That
one.
was
I like
a good
that.
one.
I
Also,
like
the
that.
College Game Day. It's hard to top Miss Jordan down there at UNC. That should be the college football cover. But I digress. All right, keeping it moving. Roy Bird having some fun here as far as fantasy is concerned. We hit on some top 10. Anything else that we need to know? Again, we are about 60 days away from a lot of drafting being had. Is there anything else top 10 that you have your eye on right now?
Let's say top 10, so again, the other guys that we haven't mentioned that are in my top 10, I think they're pretty much in most people's top 10. You got Puka Nacua, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Those are probably guys that you probably want to have in your mix. Maybe Brian Thomas Jr. down in Jacksonville. I know Travis Hunter is in the mix down there, but Brian Thomas is going to get, again, the lion's share of the targets down there. He had nearly 1,300 yards last year, and Trevor Lawrence missed a bunch of time with that shoulder. So I think Brian Thomas is probably going to be, one of those guys in the mix for a first round pick. Not top 10, but right outside of the top 10. And I know we had talked about this before earlier today. But guys who are hurt, like Christian McCaffrey, like he's one of those guys where it's like, all right, you got to figure out where you want to slot him as far as injuries and things like that, because coming off that PCL injury, had the Achilles tendonitis last year. He was, the number 1 overall pick in a lot of leagues last year, right? A lot of leagues. I picked him in our league, right? Obviously, he's probably not a first round pick this year. I mean, I don't think you can use that much capital on Christian McCaffrey, but 12-team league, early second round, mid second round, you may want to consider it, because again, I think it's going to be the same situation as last year, is that when he's healthy, he's going to get most of that work in the backfield. But the question is he going to stay healthy? That's the big question with Christian McCaffrey. So he's a guy to keep an eye on, especially when training camp comes around.
All right. I'm glad we stumbled into that one, because shame on me. I had this one written down. I want to ask you this. If we do look at last year with the 4 receivers over 1,000 yards at the rookie performance with Brian Thomas Jr., Malik Neighbors, Brock Bowers, Ladd McConkey, like, is it a significant drop off from Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr. to Brock Bowers to Ladd McConkey? Both had great seasons, maybe the best season a tight end's ever had. For what Brock Bowers did out there in Vegas. Is there a huge drop off from the top 2 guys to Bowers and McConkey for you? Because those are great seasons, and of course, if you had them on your fantasy roster, you got great value with all being rookies there.
Yeah, I think the first 2 guys, the Neighbors and Thomas, I think those guys are on a tier by themselves. Okay. I think there's a slight drop off to Brock Bowers at the tight end position, but like, you're right, like he had an unbelievable season as a tight end last year for a team that, quite frankly, just had like a mediocre offense, but he was still able to put up numbers.
153 targets.
Just an unbelievable season as a tight end last year. And look, he's my tight end number 1. Like, he's unbelievable. Like, he's the best fantasy tight end in the NFL right now, 1 year in. And I think there's another slight dip between Bowers and McConkey. Okay, McConkey had a really good season last year. Again, like, I'm not sure exactly what that, like, the Chargers offense is just so, like, you just never know what to expect until like the season comes, and now they have a couple new running backs in the mix. So I'm not entirely sure what to make of that Chargers offense, but yeah, I think there's like a clear-cut tier 1 between those guys, the first 2 guys. I think Bowers is probably like, mid-second round type of guy, and I think probably later in the second round, early third round, I think that's where you would probably draft a McConkey.
Strong rookie class at the wide receiver position / tight end with Bowers last year. You look at some of these names again. Marvin Harrison Jr.
Harrison, right? We're not even talking about Harrison, right? Yeah.
Wow. Xavier Worthy, of course, Keon Coleman up there in Buffalo. A lot to like from that class. All right. Let's continue with the fantasy discussion. And I want to ask you, all right, so as we are here now with the training camp coming up, there's still a lot of hot air out there. This guy's this, whatever. And I don't even know if I'm going to trust the OTAs and a training camp. But, we tend to get our information from places that we do trust, and we'll go with our instincts after that. Is there somebody that was maybe a rookie or a new player that's in a new spot, or just a new coach came in and you feel like he's going to change things up? So you have your eye on that player. Is there a player or two that you can't wait to hear more about how they're being used in training camp, and maybe preseason as well, that we should be, with our ear out, just listening and seeing and of course reading what's being written as far as X player? Is there a player or two that you would recommend right now that we need to be paying attention to?
Yeah, I would probably, again, we were just talking about the Chargers. I would probably pay attention to that backfield situation. Najee Harris is, the veteran in that backfield, but Omarion Hampton, the rookie, there's a lot of buzz around him, taking that number one job, the number one spot, as a lead back in that Chargers backfield. So that's when I'm kind of leaning towards, like, looking, maybe you can slide in Omarion Hampton. He probably won't be a super high draft pick in most leagues, because I don't think people are kind of locked into the Chargers running back situation, but I think he might be a good value pick there. And to stay with the running backs, Travion Henderson in New England. The Patriots do not seem enamored with Ramondre Stevenson at all, like, whatsoever. And quite frankly, I mean, I don't know why they should be, because he averaged 3.9 carries, yards per carry last year, 4.0 yards per carry the year before. He's just not a game-breaking running back. He's a solid guy who'll get you 50, 60 yards, but he's not the dynamic kind of running back. So I think Travion Henderson, I don't know if he's going to take the job entirely, but it might be a situation where, like, like Devon Achane's, like, rookie year, where he kind of takes a pretty decent, load away from, like Raheem Mostert, like he did to Raheem Mostert down in Miami. I think it might be that kind of situation with Henderson in New England, where he might be able to be a RB3 on some of your fantasy teams if he gets enough work.
Najee Harris seems like he'd be a Harbaugh type of guy.
Yeah. I think Najee Harris is fine.
And I'm speaking specifically goal line. Like, he's going to get touchdowns, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I think so, but it's like, the Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins situation. Like, they've had guys who were kind of fit, like the Gus Edwards was the guy. Well, J.K. Dobbins was the guy, then he got hurt. Like, I think we know the Harbaugh guys, but like there's just some certain times where either guys get hurt or just, like, they just kind of fall out of favor, in LA, and just, another guy just gets the bulk of the work. So I think Omarion Hampton is the more dynamic guy. So I think he's probably gonna again at least get maybe some of that the third down work. Maybe Najee Harris is the goal line guy, but I think maybe the third down action goes more to Hampton than Harris.
Shout out Jalen Reagor, still catching a check.
Yeah,
he's on the depth chart. He's on the depth chart for the Chargers, third receiver there. Full 12 targets last year. Nice work by Jalen Reagor.
Not quite Malik Neighbors, but we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. All right. Good grief. All right. Talk to me about rookies, right?
Yes.
Who does this start and end with? Like, what is the rookie? Who is the rookie? How high are we talking about drafting these rookies? Where do we start when we look back at what took place? And of course, just albeit in April in Green Bay, and then hit the fast forward button. Training camp happens again, kind of like where the similar question I just asked you. What are you paying attention to for the rookies? Where does it start for you?
Listen, it starts and ends with Ashton Genty, right? Like, I'm usually one to kind of, like, pull people off the ledge when it comes to the rookies. Not get too hyped when it comes to these rookies. Like, Ashton Genty's, like, he's just a stud. Like, he's an absolute beast. Like, you saw what he did in college. He should get the bulk of the work in out there in Vegas, even with Raheem Mostert. I don't think there's much, like, no reason why he won't get 70% of the snaps, I wouldn't think, even as a rookie. And look, you have Bowers, who we talked about, and Jacoby Myers. So again, people don't talk about. He had a 1,000-yard season as a wide receiver. So they have targets who can kind of, like, alleviate some of the issues, so he doesn't have to see, like, stacked boxes all the time. But in Vegas, with Pete Carroll, with that Chip Kelly offense, I if you want to take, Ashton Genty and the early, middle, second round of your drafts, I won't be upset with it. I think he's going to have a really, really good rookie season.
Tier 1, tier 2.
I think he's a RB1. I think he's an RB1 caliber guy. I mean, like, I probably wouldn't take him in the first round, but I mean, like, if I'm thinking about, him or Jonathan Taylor, or him or, Josh Jacobs or something like that, I'd probably roll the dice and go with him. Yeah.
Him or Derrick Henry.
Oh, Derrick Henry. I'm in love with Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
We're not talking about Derrick Henry's year last year enough, right? Like Derrick Henry had 1,900 yards last year, right? He had 18 total touchdowns. We don't even talk about the dude.
No.
It's like, if he had 80 more yards, we'd have the same conversations that we had about Saquon Barkley, right? Like 2,000, another 2,000-yard season for Derrick Henry. Don't even talk about the dude. I'm like, this guy, like Derrick Henry just literally had 18 touchdowns and 1,900 yards and went under the radar. Like, I don't understand it. Like, I don't get it. Like, Derrick Henry, to me, absolutely fantastic running back. First-round pick. Should be a first-round fantasy pick. Don't even talk about the dude. Like, we spend a lot more time talking about other guys. I don't get it.
You're right. So when it comes to running backs, I know I asked you number 1 overall pick, and you said you can make the case. For the first running back taken off the board,
yes,
you can make the case for Saquon.
Yeah.
You can make the case for Derrick Henry.
I can make the case for Derrick Henry. I don't see. I just think there's going to be a little bit of more regression to the mean for probably both Saquon and Derrick Henry. Like these two guys had literally historic seasons, right? Like Saquon, we know about.
Yeah.
So,
you said Bijan, so that's my fault. So you can make the case for Bijan being number 1 overall running back selected.
Correct.
Ahead of Saquon, ahead of Derrick Henry.
Ahead of Saquon, ahead of Derrick Henry, yeah. Like because again, I think Bijan's growth from year 1 to year 2. Again, we saw statistically, should be a better offense, at least a more coherent offense with Penix back there. And again, I think there might be a little bit of regression to the mean with Saquon and Derrick Henry. Again, one ran for 2,000 yards, one ran for 1,900 yards. They probably won't repeat that success next year, right? So if they kind of come back a little bit to the pack. And Bijan Robinson, gets 10% better, 15% better. Again, this is a man who had 61 catches last year. Like, he can put up 20 fantasy points per game, and it wouldn't, cause me to blink an eye.
All right, Roy Burton at the BS line on all things socials. We'll end on this because we haven't even talked about the quarterback position. We are now. We're going to talk about Jalen Hurts.
Yeah,
and. I don't know what the numbers are. Like, I get it with Josh Allen, and Josh Allen was the guy last year, right? Lamar, we just spoke about how great the Baltimore Ravens offense is. I think Mr. Jaden Daniels could have something to say. I think that's a little risky from a Eagles perspective, but whatever. I think somebody said that their schedule is going to be a hell of a lot tougher. There are some things that went a lot in their favor last year. Maybe that doesn't happen, but the kid is the truth. He's damn good. So I get it from that perspective. But when I'll use a similar question I just used about the running back, number 1 quarterback for you, is it still Josh Allen?
Yeah, for me, it's Josh Allen. Every year I try to talk myself out of Josh Allen as a number 1 quarterback, but he's literally been either the first or second best fantasy quarterback in each of the last 5 years.
All right.
He was actually quarterback 2 last year. Lamar Jackson was actually quarterback 1, fantasy wise. Because he had 41 touchdowns. So God bless Lamar Jackson. But to me, I think it's Josh Allen. Again, Josh Allen is just, they're both aliens, him and Lamar. But he's just so good. Like, that was last year was the year the Bills were supposed to take a step back, and Lamar and Josh Allen went out and won the MVP with a significantly worse wide receiving core than he had last year, and with a running back who led the league in rushing touchdowns, right? So James Cook led the league in rushing touchdowns, and Josh Allen still won MVP as a quarterback. So I can't talk myself out of Josh Allen, but if you told me, flip a coin, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, I'd take either one as a first quarterback overall. I wouldn't complain.
I apologize. You said, what about James Cook? He led the league in rushing touchdowns?
Led the league in rushing touchdowns, yeah, 16.
Really?
Yeah. 18 total touchdowns, yes. I think 16 rushing, yeah.
How about that? All right, so to Jalen Hurts, and the tush-push remains, baby, and it's still going to be front and center for this offense. It's going to be a focal point for Jalen Hurts. Mark Henry is going to be banging the drum for Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown, cash and checks from game 1 against the Cowboys until hopefully they play in February. Where's the Super Bowl this year?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. Is it Miami?
Damn.
Where is the Super Bowl? We'll be there, but I'm not sure where it is.
I think San Francisco.
That sounds right. Yeah, I think it's San Fran. I think you're right.
I don't know where the Super Bowl is. Levi Stadium.
San Fran, yeah, Santa Clara.
Pulled that out of my ass. All right, yeah, nice work there. All right, so Jalen Hurts.
Yes.
When we start talking about the quarterback position, you just named the 2. You got Lamar, Josh Allen, whatever you want to do, vice versa. That's fine. Where are we at when we start getting into Jalen Hurts territory? should we be reaching? Because you know what you're going to get. You're going to get touchdowns.
Yeah, you're going to get touchdowns. For me, he's quarterback 4. He's he's so the top 2 guys, I think they're on their own tier. A hair below those guys is Jaden Daniels, who you talked about. Jaden Daniels is legit. Jaden Daniels had almost 900 rushing yards last year. I didn't realize that until I looked at the numbers earlier this week. He had 891 rushing yards and 6 touchdowns. I think Jaden Daniels, again, I think even with harder schedule and more eyes on them, I think the Commanders are still going to be a pretty decent team and a better receiving core now, because he was throwing to Zach Ertz like 98 times last year. I think Jaden Daniels is gonna be. I think he's a hair below those guys fantasy wise, but I think a hair below him is Jalen Hurts. I mean, they're basically on the same tier. You're going to get touchdowns. You're going to get a decent amount of rushing yards. You're going to get passing yards. I mean, Jalen Hurts, he's a guy you don't have to worry about, right? He's a plug and play guy. He's pretty consistent. Not going to throw for most weeks. He's not going to give you that 400-yard, 4-touchdown game like a Joe Burrow. But I mean, he's going to give you, 220, a couple passing touchdowns, 1 or 2 passing touchdowns, and at least 1 on the ground. So he's going to give you 20 to 22 fantasy points per game just about every week. So Jalen Hurts is right in that mix with those other guys.
Oh, man, I love it.
So that's what y'all wanted to see, huh?
Yeah, that's what we wanted to see. Right around the corner, Birds will be kicking off against the Cowboys, dropping a banner. Make sure you're checking out Tick Pick and everything they have to offer to get to that game, and all of the concerts and sporting events moving forward. TickPick.com. Download the app now. All right. Great stuff, Roy. And we just the tip of the iceberg. We haven't even got into like so many other questions. I have like the Bo Nix conversation. Mahomes. Yeah. Well, Mahomes could be one of those guys. Now, I might be, bloviating a little bit too much here, but Mahomes could be one of those guys that you can get at a later round. Maybe
Mahomes is the guy. No, Mahomes is one of those guys. Maybe not later, just because of the name. Bo Nix is a guy, and I'm sure we'll talk about him. Bo Nix is on my list, man. We don't why are we not talking about Bo Nix? He had 28 touchdowns, 29 touchdowns last year, and he ran for 4 more, and he had 430 yards. Like, Bo Nix is really good. Like, rookie quarterbacks shouldn't be throwing for the 29 touchdowns. Like Bo Nix. He had a really good season. I guarantee you, in 90% of fantasy leagues this year, Bo Nix will go in like the 11th or 12th round at the highest. Bo Nix can win you a league if he throws 29 touchdown passes. So he's absolutely on the list of guys you should consider as a quarterback 1.
Top 10 quarterback fantasy?
I'm not there yet, but okay. Get back to me in like a month or 2. I can probably talk myself into it. Yeah.
I love it. Roy, great stuff as always, man. Fantasy football season is finally here. Of course, we're going to be buying all those magazines, getting ready. The beach season, summertime. Matter of fact, it's the hottest day of the year right now in the Delaware Valley. Beautiful. And Roy was spitting some hot fire there. All things fantasy football at the BS line. Great stuff, Roy. Look forward to kicking butt and taking names with you this year on all things fantasy and beyond on The Gambler. Appreciate a couple minutes. Let's do it again next week, man. Let's go. It's our time to shine now. Let's go.
Sounds good, Brace. Go Birds.
My man, as always, Roy Burton with the Go Birds on the way out. Joining us on the Gambler stream. Be sure to follow on all things socials. GT Decision as well. All right. Keeping it moving here once again. PGA Tour. We're going to talk a little bit PGA Tour coming up at 5 o'clock with the boys and girls from Swingin' and Ding It. I got to get my one and done player in. That's right. I got that update or the reminder, as I did pretty good. Let's check out that weekly standings here real quick. Let's see, because they are north of the border in the Canadian Open. I saw Rory McIlroy talking about that, but in the Memorial, I was the only one that had Sepp Straka. How about that? 5 under. 3 people had in Coachman. Damn it, Jonathan Coachman's in this league. He went -10. Scotty there. Nice work by him on that one. But Sepp Straka, man, I was the only guy that had it. Let's check out the standings for the season standings. Swinging and Ding It. And I'm not moving. Or is that previous? Oh, that was previous. I am moving. All right. I'm 33rd. I was 42nd last week. I'm now 33rd. Got no shot at winning this thing. As Coachman is top dog there. Wow. Shander Show, again, still didn't put a play in. What a lead he was able to create by just playing the 13 events that he did. We'll see what he has here. Slash top 10. Kyle Slash Nunamaker in the mix. How about that, sports fans? Moose is 11th in the Swingin' and Ding It one and done league. Nice work. Next week, we will have the U.S. Open, so we'll be talking a lot of golf over the next week right here on the Daily Ticket / Swingin' and Ding It. But I don't know who I'm going to go with for the Canadian Open. Well, I'll have to listen to Moose, Mays, and Danielle coming up at 5 o'clock, see if they can give me some edge or steer me in the right direction. Because, again, with the one and done, it's real easy. If you don't know what we're talking about, you play a golfer. Once you use them, they're gone for the season. So, you want to hear those names, people that are, really adamant about ex-golfer and believe in, some of the stats that are out there. And then you go with the gut and hope that everything works out for you, he makes the cut, so on and so forth. But it's been a fun year. And did not get off to a good start, that's for sure. But I've been doing all right lately. So hopefully we can stay high here in the world of PGA golf. Staying hot is what it's all about on the Daily Ticket. Other side, we'll talk about some Major League Baseball to close up shop. Again, Phillies back in action. We'll go over those numbers. And I got some good responses here on All Things Socials as far as expectations for Mick Abel. Start number 2 in the Phillies uniform this evening, north of the border. Some north of the border bets coming your way on the other side. Phillies minus 115. Daily Ticket rolls on. Worth this.
This September, our iHeartRadio Music Festival.
Presented by Capital One is coming back to Las Vegas.
And you can win your way to be there.
Streaming live only on Hulu. Tickets go on sale June 13th at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific through AXS.com. But starting June 11th at 1 p.m. Eastern, Capital One cardholders get first access to tickets and other exclusive offers for 48 hours only or while pre-sale tickets last. Visit iHeartRadio.com/Capital One for more pre-sale details. What's in your wallet? Keep listening for the next chance to win your way to our iHeartRadio Music Festival. Presented by Capital One.
Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. Now, total traffic for Philadelphia.
Crash on the PA Turnpike westbound has it jammed up between Willow Grove and Virginia Drive. Only the left lane gets by. Westbound Schuylkill stop to go University Teacher Park, and then bumper to bumper Boulevard to Conshohocken with an axe on the shoulder. 95 northbound Jefferson the Vine Expressway up to Bridge Street. Southbound heavy from Cotman to the Betsy Ross and 420 to 320. Walt Whitman jammed into New Jersey down to 42 south of Creek Road. 295 northbound, all lanes blocked at 42 with a crash. Laura Tutela, total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Allstate. Some people just know you could save money on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Those people are probably saving a carload of cash right now. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Run a business and not thinking about podcasting? Think again. More Americans listen to podcasts than ad-supported streaming music from Spotify and Pandora. And as the #1 podcaster, iHeart's twice as large as the next two combined. So whatever your customers are into, true crime, sports, comedy, culture, they'll hear your message. Plus, only iHeart can extend your message to audiences across broadcast radio. And all this reach means everything. Just think about the universal marketing formula. The number of consumers who hear your message times the response rate equals the results. Now let's get those results growing for you. Think podcasting can help your business? Think iHeart. Streaming, radio, and podcasting. Let us show you at iHeartAdvertising.com. That's iHeartAdvertising.com. Or call 844-844-iHeart. One more time. Call 844-844-iHeart and get podcasting working for you.
The Big Three is back Saturday, June 14th, live on CBS. Fast-paced, physical, 3-on-3. Check out the Miami 305 with Lance Stevenson and Big Three MVP Michael Beasley battle it out against the Los Angeles Riots, Jeff Teague, Jordan Crawford, and Dwight Howard. Also, Detroit's Joe Johnson taking on Dr. J's Chicago Triplets, featuring Jason Richardson and Montrezl Harrell. Basketball the way it's meant to be played every weekend this summer. Saturday, June 14th, live on CBS, 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific, followed by 2 games on Vice.
Yay!
Why'd I go to the doctor? One day at the firehouse, I was so lightheaded I could barely stand. Even my crew noticed. Getting checked out was the right call. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Hey, did you get a gift for your dad for Father's Day yet?
No, I just don't know what to get the man who has everything from tools to ties, and last year's gift stunk.
I know. After the beautiful diamond necklace my dad got me for my birthday last year, I kind of felt guilty giving him a hedge trimmer for Father's Day. So this year, I decided to get him something really special.
Like what?
Something he'll never forget. A stock car racing experience.
A stock car racing experience? That's an awesome idea.
By calling 1-877-STOCK-CAR, you can purchase a gift certificate for a heart-pounding 160-mile-per-hour ride or drive in a Sprint Cup stock car. They'll outfit you in an authentic racing suit and helmet and teach you the ins and outs of driving a stock car on the 2.5-mile super speedway at Pocono Raceway. With rides starting at only $99, they're easy to order online at 877stockcar.com. That's 877stockcar.com. For the one gift they'll never forget, go to 877stockcar.com or call 1-877-STOCK-CAR.
Hey, Joy. Oh, you are glowing.
Oh, hey, more like Mira joyed that Miralax helped me go. I was so backed up. Tried mega coffees, prune juice, everything. Then Miralax. And hello, gentle relief without the harsh side effects.
Ooh, how does it work?
It works naturally with the water in your body for constipation relief. Find Miralax today at Walmart.
Use as directed for occasional constipation.
Hey, man, you all right? Need me to call 911? No, call Top Dog Law. Get top dollar for your accident at topdoglaw.com. Once again, that's topdoglaw.com. Daily Ticket with you here. Sean Brace riding solo. Hey, 6 o'clock. The boys are back. Football is king. Beef, McClay, getting you ready for the college football and NFL season. Fast approaching 80 days till we kick off for week 0. 8-0. Yeah, you heard that right. Jerry Rice until we kick off for week 0 college football. I know we've been focusing on all things NFL, especially in this city, but man, college football right around the corner, man. And oh, by the way, right here on the Gambler, home of Villanova football and basketball. Villanova got some big things going on. I was watching some video from Coach Willard up there with the boys on the court, getting some sweat in yesterday, and we are off and running for a new regime in all things college hoops on Villanova's campus and in the NFL's or football side of things. Again, I keep focusing on, I get it. There's 2 other games, but before they play Penn State, but man, that is a monster fun game. Expectations out the wazoo for Penn State. And all of a sudden you get Villanova, a tough little pesky Villanova squad coming into Happy Valley. Ooh, that would be very intriguing if they were able to make life difficult for Penn State. We'll see. Crazier things have happened in the sports world, even / college football world. Remember, App State went on the road to the Big House and beat Michigan. Nobody gave them a chance then. Nobody did. I was sent to the Gambler gang the date. I'm like, yo, boys, Penn State, Villanova. And Bernard, I think Sean Bernard wrote back, what, -42? Or do you think more? And it's like, all right, it was right around there the last time that they played 2 years ago, but still. It doesn't matter. It's going to be a good time, and you catch all the Villanova action right here on The Gambler, home of Villanova football and basketball. Let's go. Let's see here. Got some odds and ends. We do have a lineup out for the Phillies. And Stott, Turner, Harper, Schwarber, Bohm, Castellanos, Kepler, Real Muto, Marsh, and Mick Abel getting the start. Again, second one for the Phillies this season. Minus 115. 9 is our total in the game. 7:07 first pitch. Mick Abel has been really good down in Lehigh. Was great against the Pittsburgh Pirates. I expect more of the same. Again, limited book on the young gun, so I do expect him to have success tonight. I don't expect a lot of runs to be scored. I'd be very hesitant to hit the over on 9. Barrios a pretty good pitcher, and as my previous guest Kyle Fisher pointed out, yeah, they went off. They hit some bombs last night. You know how that works. Law of averages as far as the Phillies are concerned, right? Had the hot bats last night. Not sure that I would believe that they're able to do it again coming up here tonight, but do with that as you will. I had some fun with Roy Burton talking some NFL, and I know that there's some people starting to squeeze in some NFL conversation. That's great. It's what we like to hear. Football controls all. Football is king. As we have that show now on our airwaves coming up at 6 o'clock, and we're going to start inching in a little bit more into the discussion. Of course, we do have an NBA Finals that will be getting started on Thursday, and the boys, the Gambler Gang, will be getting back together next week, Wednesday night for Game 3. We're going to do a little special edition watch party, not your average just tune in and, I like the Oklahoma City Thunder to go over. No. We got some fun stuff that's going to spice things up a little bit for anybody that joins us.
My Lord.
On socials. Looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. That's Game 3 next Wednesday night. It'll be played in Indy. What will be the series? What will it be for Game 3? 2-0 OKC? Can the Pacers accomplish what they are trying to do and steal home court? Go in there as far as go in to Oklahoma City and steal one. Is that the goal? Is that the frame of mind that, is going to lead to success for the Indiana Pacers in this NBA Finals? That's kind of like the surface thought for every 7-game series, especially when you're going up against a team as talented as Oklahoma City is. But maybe the Pacers are looking at it a little bit differently. Maybe they think that they can go in there and win both games. I don't know. But OKC is a really damn good team. We got a lot more to discuss. We'll dive deeper into the NBA Finals tomorrow with Sam Ostry, who will be live in studio with me. So looking forward to really dissecting that further as far as the NBA Finals. Julian Edlow will be on the show. Natalie Eganoff is going to join us tomorrow too as well, with a little focus on Philadelphia sports coming up at 4:30 tomorrow. So mixing it up and having some fun as we do here often on The Gambler. Staying in the NBA, quick note on this one. Yeah, there was a ton of reaction to the Tom Thibodeau firing. And it was funny yesterday. I thought Mick, the one DJ with DJ Jazzy Jeff last night at the F1 Arcade, was a Knicks fan. He's a Celtics fan, but he does stuff for New York all the time. And we had a discussion. Even Jazzy Jeff got it. I got his thoughts. I'm like, what do you think about the Knicks firing Thibs? And he's like, man, I'm a Sixers fan. That's no good. And I'm like, yeah, Sixers, we're tough. We're bad right now. He's like, no, I didn't understand what he meant, but he feels like, yeah, the ceiling is what the ceiling is with a guy like Tibbs as the head coach, that they're not going to win an NBA championship. But now there's a little unknown. Who will they get? Is Malone good enough to bring a title to MSG? We don't know. But I thought that Jazzy Jeff was onto something there. It's like, that is interesting. And on the flip side of that, one of my takes yesterday was this. From the people that say, oh, you can't fire him. Why not? Why not? You're not going to regret that decision. What would happen next year for you to look back and go, firing Tibbs was the wrong decision, and that's where everything went? Like, you would have to be terrible, miss the playoffs, and even then you'll still have the people that are like doing it with the Sixers. Oh, the injuries. Oh, the what ifs. So I just don't think – I think no matter what, for the Knicks next year, you will not look back and go, man, that was a bad move, firing Tom Thibodeau. I just don't think it will be. This team's going to win 50-plus games next year. The East is bad. It's wide open for the taking. And who knows? You get the right coach in there. Who's to say that they won't take a step up? That's where I'm at. I think that you don't know what you would do until you're in that position. So I'm not going to sit here and say I would have fired Tom Thibodeau. I probably would not have, full disclosure, because I look at it from, if you want to hang on to him and if things don't start out the right way, or if this season goes sideways, that's a piece that you can go to, of course, get everybody's attention. And then hopefully, you start taking a step in the right direction and fixing some things. But I don't know if that's the right way to run an organization either. I would not have fired Tom Thibodeau. I would have brought him back. I think he deserved an opportunity to come back, but he's not the first NBA coach that was fired. And you were like, what the hell is going on? It's crazy. Malone, who brought a championship to the Denver Nuggets, and he got fired with 3 games to go. And how good was that team? Took OKC to 7 games. What about Jenkins in Memphis? One man's trash, another man's treasure, right? Everybody loves him. Oh, bring him to the Knicks. Well, why did he get fired in Memphis? He had a winning record. I don't remember Memphis. Zebo, they had some good teams, but clearly he had some good stuff happening with the Memphis Grizzlies. Why not give him a chance? Well, they fired him. So that's how it works in the NBA. We know it's crazy, but regardless, we will talk all things NBA Finals tomorrow on the Daily Ticket. However, on the other side, you got Swinging and Ding It, Moose, Mays, and Danielle coming up. And then at 6 o'clock, Football is King.
My Lord.
Oh, yeah. Let's go. I will be back tomorrow live Daily Ticket with you at 3 p.m. Stream us on the iHeartRadio app. And, of course, all things socials. Don't touch that dial. Swinging and Ding It is next.
Goodbye! The NBA playoffs are here, and nobody has you covered like the Gambler Gang.